Hello, I have here an HP, and this HP has got an issue with the processor. It's an HP Pavilion G6. This HP was brought to me after several attempts from different technicians. So when I received it, I checked it and I found out that the processor was short. So I decided to make a video and show you guys how can you really figure out if your laptop has got an issue with the processor. When you put in the adapter, this is for HP, it lights up, but when you try to turn it on, it does not. The way you can actually come to a conclusion that it's a processor, let me remove it and show you. So the first method you can use for checking the processor is by continuity. So what I did, I tried to measure all the power supplies in continuity. I measured this one, and this one was giving me 120 ohms, which is fine. This is the power supply for the chipset. I measured this one, and this one was giving me infinity. When I measured this one, it was also infinity. This one, and this is where I came. It was shorting, and the reading on the meter was very low because there's no power supply that can be at 0.7 ohms. That is a short. It's actually more than a ground, because a ground is almost like 2.3. So when I went to measure the processor power supplies, this was 82, which means the processor was fine. Part of the processor was fine. This was 82 also. Then this one was also 1, which means was short to ground. When I measure this one, this was infinity. This was 17, which is fine. This was 17 also. Now, what I discovered, if you look clearly, you can see that this power supply goes direct like this and is connected to the RAM. Because remember, this RAM gives out 1.5 volts for the RAM and some 1.5 volts for the power supply, for the control section of the processor that controls the RAM. So the processor uses this one, which is 1.7, but still a section that controls RAM is supplied by this RAM voltage. When I take out the RAM, it was still short. Then another thing I wanted to show you, when you go into voltage, you plug in. So when you try to turn it on, I hope you see clear. So I was telling you that when you press the power button, you see that the voltage comes up on some power supply like this. That is 5, it comes up. When you press this, 3.3 comes up. When you press here, voltage does not come up. When you put you on a processor power supply, you see that comes up and goes down. The same comes up and goes down. The same here. You see, comes up and goes down whenever I press the power button. So it means the error is on this one. Okay, so let me first take out this processor. But then what I didn't tell you is that for me to find out that however this power supply is for RAM, that is shorted. So what I did, I actually removed this coil. Can you see it? I removed this coil, and when I removed it, I measured this side. From this side where it was connected to the control chip of RAM power supply, it was not short, but connected to the output, it was short. And because you know this power comes up from the RAM to these slots, and when the RAM is not there and you see that the output is short, it means other control chips that use RAM power supply are the ones that are shorted. So when I removed the processor, this is actually an AMD. Sorry for my light, I'm recording this video at night. This is an AMD F4. When I measure now, you see ground is shorting, but the RAM power supply is no longer short. Okay, so it means it's the processor that was shorting the RAM power supply. So when I put in ohms, you see it's almost having it's almost 1 kilo ohms. Okay, so good enough. I had my another processor here, which is still an AMD, but this is a good one. Okay, and when I put it in and lock it up, actually measure continuity, you see it's no longer shorted to ground. And when I go back into ohms, you see it is almost still the same, 600 ohms. It was almost 1000 ohms without the processor, now it's 600 ohms. And even when I measure here, processor power supply, these are 37, the other one was giving out 82. Okay, these are also 38. This is 50. This one is also 50. So actually the best way to check shorted components is actually using the resistance. Okay, you put your meter in ohms mode or resistance mode, then you measure resistance on all these power supplies. So in continuity mode, you could see that this one is actually sounding like a short, but the ohms are quite high. That is 38 ohms. They are not as the way here you see it is 11, which is almost like 1. Okay, this is short, but this one is different. That is almost 40 ohms, which means it is fine. Okay, so let me put in the power and then I will show you how it turns on. So when I plug in the adapter, it lights up, and when I press the power button, you see the fan spins, and when you measure voltage, you can see it's giving out 1.5 for RAM, even though the RAM is not inside. Here it is 5, here it is 3. It has turned on. Can you see the light? So let me put it back in the adapter, in the casing, then I can show you. So because this AMD produce a lot of heat, so you should not forget to put on thermal paste. So I have assembled it back. I've put on the paste, I've put on the RAM, I did it off the camera because it will take a lot of time. So let's turn it on now. So let's power it on. Can you see? So with another processor it turns on. Can you see this? So guys, that is how you can actually check a fault processor. So thank you. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching.